All right. All all right, everybody. You are tuned in to the JNR Network. And tonight's guest, we have a Dallas born filmmaker behind Carter High, Bid for Love, and 12, a visionary who explores culture, truth, and faith through genre bending storytelling. Mr. Arthur Muhammad. How you doing, Chief?
I'm doing good, bro. How about yourself?
Oh man, I'm doing all right, man. I can't complain. Can't complain at all. How's everything y'all way? How's the weather?
Say it again.
I said, how's everything down your way? How's the weather?
Oh, I'm down. Where you at?
Houston.
Oh, well, it's pretty good now. It was bad yesterday, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Texas, all you gotta do
Yeah.
is wait 5 minutes. It'll
Right.
change.
Right. All right, we gonna dive right into it, man, with your icebreaker question. From VHS to award-winning director, what was the movie that made you realize filmmaking wasn't just a hobby?
Hmm. My film or any film?
Um, that's a good question. Let's make that distinction. Um, Both. First, your film, and then or any film. I would say let's alter the question. A film from your childhood or a significant moment in your journey where you realize this is something I would want to do more than a hobby. Like this is something I just would want to do.
Well, that film would be that inspired me was Do the Right Thing.
Mm,
I worked at a movie theater. I had one job when I was in high school, and I worked at a movie theater in Oak Cliff called Redbird 1 through 4. And man, I would when Do the Right Thing came out, I literally was you could catch me in the theater, wherever theater the movie was playing at. I watched the film like shoot, hundreds of times,
wow.
over and over and over and over again. And so that would definitely be the film that made me think, man, maybe this is something that I could do, something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What
so,
was one film that you did that? Because I feel like as an artist, a lot of times, and even from the perspective of an actor, there's always a film that I have that I'm like, it required a different level of artistry from me to make me feel like, oh, this is it. So, what film was that for you?
it would have to be the first one, off the top. And
Yeah.
that was basically after watching that film, my first film I did, Solitaire. You know, you can't find it anywhere, and I'm glad. But
Oh
but
man, we all got those. We all got those.
but it was the film that got it started. It was the film that literally got it started. And I shot the film on 16 millimeter film. And back then you had to process your film, develop, have it transferred, and then you could see what you shot. And not only did I shoot it on film, I DP'd it. I actually ran sound, had to just hold the boom mic next on the couch in the bushes in a car, however I can get the sound. I got the sound. It was literally everything. But the film got distribution. And it's funny now because I see Maverick distributing a lot of films now. And that's who distributed my film a long time ago. This is like 2004. Man, this how far back that goes.
Man.
2004. And it was different because back then Maverick was given literally minimum guarantees. So my film cost me like 6,000 to make. I'm giving you some numbers, I don't mind. But Maverick gave us 35 grand after it was done. You don't see that now. Now you got to go to distribution and hope you recoup. But back then, Maverick was the independent filmmaker back in the blockbuster days when we had to go to blockbuster and get
Yeah.
they just Yeah, I'm talking back then. Yes, sir. Maverick
I remember too. I remember
Maverick
that.
was the independent filmmaker's dream. So that's where it started, man.
That's
And ever
crazy.
since then, it's been film after film after film.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. That's
Wow.
awesome.
Well, I think that goes into the Joseph. You want to get that next one, or did you want me to get that next one?
Got it. Then a doorman's job lets you watch Do the Right Thing almost daily. How did Spike Lee's work shape your vision?
Man, Spike Lee have a back then what I think what it, he have a way of immersing the audience into that world. You know, and even though you're not from New York, I felt like, you know, that the film Do the Right Thing made you feel like what New York was would feel like. And especially that film, even though it made, you know, it was like he said it was the hottest day of the summer, I think, or something like that in New York. And watching the film, you felt hot. It had that ability to make you feel like, man, shoot, it's hot up in here. But that was something that he did, and really, he wasn't. He brought you into that world. I mean, you heard how people from New York spoke, how they lived, you know, how they talk, and he didn't shy away from that. You know, this was his voice, and you had to hear his voice through that film and all his work. But really, Do the Right Thing was the one that, you know, I've seen probably just about every one of Spike Lee's films, but that was the one that captured me, you know, from the beginning.
Right.
Mm, he's a pivotal powerhouse in a lot of our inspirations as far as taking an artistic risk or doing whatever you want to do. You know, as an I always say they're creators, but they're also innovators, and he's definitely an innovator in his own regard. Um, and but one thing that I know about Spike Lee too that he talks about is, you know, and oftentimes I talk about this a lot as far as artists. I mean, even from an actor's perspective, I always say that training is so important. You know, I'm a trained actor. Joseph's a trained actor. Me and him rap about that all the time about how we really put in the work to, you know, it starts with natural talent, but it's like, how hard did you work to really hone in your craft and equip yourself? And I know I've heard Spike Lee talk about how that's a badge of honor. Like grad school, his thesis film grad school is a badge of honor for him. So it leads to the next question. Walk us through your education from Southern Methodist University, right, to an
Yes,
MFA at Vermont College. How did they refine your craft? I mean, from the perspective of, because, you know, I know that film had been with you from a young age. So how did that happen, right? You have a natural knack for something, and now you're in this environment where it's being shaped through education. Like, how was that for you?
man, very good question. I have to give some backstory for this one.
Yeah, sure, for sure. We
So,
want that for sure.
so,
That's why I asked it. Yeah.
so I went to, like I said, I worked at a movie theater, right? But I played football at Carter High,
Mm,
and I got a football scholarship to SMU. And back
wow.
then, you didn't. When I went to SMU, even though I had been watching film, you know, the Do the Right Thing film, in my mind, I never thought, you know, I can make a movie. That just wasn't my mindset at that time. It was I loved the film and everything, but when I went to SMU, my main focus was playing football. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to the league. That was that thought process. But you know, when you get your the catalog, you can see what you're going to major in, and in that, I saw cinema. You know that you can actually major in cinema. So I said, "Well, shoot, you know, I can do that in the meantime." And so I started that process. But my freshman year, the end of my freshman year against Rice, I tore my ACL.
Mm,
Mm.
And so I came back and played my sophomore year and still, you know, it was starting and everything. And me and the coach kind of like didn't click. So I transferred and went to Texas A&M in Kingsville, which is Texas A&M now. Well, it was Texas A&M then, but it's Texas A&M in Kingsville now. Played for a semester there, end up leaving school, and but but that's when I started working on my films after I left school. Got a job at the fire department for a minute, started working on films. So I did Solitaire, like I told you, came back and did Sweet Justice, which is Black Angel now. All these movies are out too. Um, and then Carter High. Eventually, I did Carter High, which was like my third or fourth film. And when I did Carter High, even though I never finished SMU, got my degree at that time, after Carter High came out, the school reached back out to me and gave me an opportunity to finish up my degree and then gave me all my credits for film, based on my work history, from the movies I've done. So I just had to take a couple of classes like Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. And Lord, that was Hablo Espanol was like killing me. But I ended up, finishing, man. And so as soon as I finished, and the thing about it is, so I didn't take any film, really, not that many film classes, but I did take one with John Constarfin, who that's another story. But he was one of my professors there. And later on, I just recently ran into him when I received an award at the Den Black Film Festival. He was there. We actually were sitting at the same table, so that was like a moment, a full circle moment.
Yeah.
But right after I got my degree, my bachelor's, I decided to go ahead and keep going because I know if I didn't go then, it would have been a long time, So got my MFA, and so when I went to get my MFA, since I'd already been making films, I didn't really want to focus on that aspect of it. So I focused on writing because I think, and I really believe that writing is the key to this whole business. So, like
Right.
I say, in the beginning was the word. So you got to make sure that word is right. That's the foundation. That's the blueprint that the movies are built on. So I focused on writing, and in that process, I wrote 12, which was my attempt at a horror film, my first time.
My
And
attempt.
so I wrote the horror film and actually ended up shooting it a couple of years ago. So that's out now as well on Tubi and some other platforms.
Okay, that's
But 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 going back though, man, the studying your craft is very, very, very important.
important.
And I
Yeah,
think me shooting my first film on film, that's a different thing now where you can look through a digital camera, and see your image. Where back then, I had to make sure my exposure was right. Everything had to be right because I didn't know really what the image was going to be like. The f-stop had to be right and all those other things. So at the same time, making sure I knew exactly what I wanted and not just shooting take after take after take after take, saying I'm gonna figure it out in post. No, I need to know how this thing is going to edit together, how it's going to cut together, because I edit the film as well. So
Mhm.
that was a learning process, and I continue, man. Every opportunity I have, I try to learn more and more and more I can about filmmaking, and really that goes in studying the geniuses that came before us as artists, Spike Lee and a whole bunch of other films way before him, John Ford, and so many other filmmakers I've studied, man, that Alfred Hitchcock, that that really can help us grow as filmmakers.
Man, that's deep. Man, I'm learning a lot about you. I did
no,
not know.
listen, man, it's a wealth of knowledge. Just and another reason why I asked that question that way is because I feel like for young filmmakers, definitely, it's a different generation. Things change with technology, right? So I'm a part of the generation of budding filmmakers where we have the REs and we can check the monitor and we can pull the monitor up and we can check sharps and we got somebody pulling focus and all these things and an AC and all that stuff. And so I always tell, people that I work with or the students that I work with, like training is important. People want to skip steps. It's like, no, even if you have
Can't
natural talent, you
can't
can't
skip the
skip
skips.
steps. Like you have to work on the craft because you'll get humbled really quick. because you got
Right.
all these people. You're competing against the Arthur Muhammad's and the Spike Lees and these people who went to get a formal education and craft that. So, thank you for shedding light on that. For real, for real.
Yeah, because even if you do it without training, you will run into a wall eventually.
We tell people that all the time. It's gonna be a wall you'll hit if you don't go through that rite of passage. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
And that's true. I never like to to have filmmakers. I mean, if you have a story to tell, still tell your story.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, once you do that first film, that second film, that third film, eventually, or at least during the process, you should be respecting the craft of filmmaking because it is a craft. Your first and second and third films, if you're not making a progression, something is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And right now, back then, the hardest thing, of course, besides getting your money, which is still neither, like the same, that's basically the same, but distribution was really hard then compared to now because you literally can get anything on Tubi. I mean, or even streaming. I mean, you can put it on YouTube. So you can get your work out, but is that the type of work that you really want to represent you and your
Yeah.
voice? That's my whole thing. Now, if it is, cool. Like I tell my students, I teach. I say you have some people that like a gourmet meal. That's like that, and that's what they eat. You have some people that will eat a mayonnaise sandwich. That's what they eat. And the gourmet meal may be like, man, I don't want nothing to do with that. Give me that mayonnaise sandwich. And so sometimes the work that you put out is only if you want to keep making mayonnaise sandwiches, hey, that's up to you because people will eat that. And because you
Right.
feed in people your work. My main thing is once you know that, give them something healthy, man, as much as you possibly can. Put some work in the
Giving
kitchen.
people, they just giving people Vienna sausages out here, and pork rinds out here, man.
Right.
Jesus Christ, give people a
Right.
salad, something good. I know pork
Right.
rinds, man.
Because it's a representation of you, man.
Yeah,
I mean, what we got to realize now is that pretty soon, unfortunately, all of us are going to pass away,
yeah,
but the work is still going to be here.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't
Yep.
think a lot of us really realize that, like, man, when people, and you may say, well, I don't care what people say about me when I'm gone, but you have a lineage of people, you may have children, you may have family that's still here. That's gonna be now they're gonna be like, man, your cousin did that shit. There you go.
Like, bro,
It's like,
what?
I mean, really though, it's like they gotta live with that. You may be long gone, but think about that.
Yeah.
How are you still going to affect the world after you're gone?
It's a legacy. I always tell people it's a
Man,
legacy, like
that's deep.
a legacy. And Joseph knows, but a lot of people don't know. And for a while, I never really said anything, because it's just it's I don't know how to explain it. Just being an artist, but my uncle, he played in Low Down Dirty Shame with Keenan Ivory Wayans. He was Peaches, so that was he was Wayman, and so it when you think about legacy, it's like being attached to that kind of fueled me, as an actor and as a performer to be like, and unfortunately, he passed away before the movie came out. Uh,
Hmm.
but what's crazy is that all of these pages, that these classic movie pages, I'm all people are always sending me stuff. People that know that he was my uncle, they're always sending me, and this is years after he's been gone. So it's like legacy is important. So you're right. It's like what are you putting out that's posthumous that's going to stick with you? Because it is. If your
Right.
name's attached to it and your legacy is attached to it, be careful, because it's gonna follow you. And if it can't follow you because you're gone, it's gonna follow the people who are related to you.
Right.
So yeah, that's great.
Yeah. It's like I've been told, man, your name will go further than you ever will.
That's right. That's right.
That is right.
You've worn nearly every hat in production: writer, editor, director. What's your approach to mastering all roles?
Being in the moment, man, really what has helped me, and I can't wait really to do my next film because I posted it recently on social media. I recently took an acting class, right? Not because I want to be an actor, but still,
That's why I was like, what?
How was that? I was
That's
like,
why I was like,
whoa, he
what?
finna
wait,
start acting now?
so
You
yeah,
about to shoot yourself? What?
don't get it twisted. That ain't why. But again, like we talk about education, is to continue to learn. So I felt like for me to at least take the classes, it helps me to respect the acting that much more, and also it helped me to learn how to even communicate better to actors and speak their language more so. And so in that process, I learned that you have to be, as an actor, in the moment. You don't want the actor to perform, you want the actor to respond, and so and to be in the moment. So when I'm writing, I need to put on the writer's hat and just be in that moment of writing. Because a lot of times when I write for the budget that I know I can shoot for. So now I got my writer's hat on, but with a little producer hat on, that's kind of forcing its way in. So now, so I'm not free and just writing what really the story. So then after I finish writing it, now I can put on a producer's hat and say, okay, now in the world we're not going to be able to shoot at the Empire State Building, so we need to figure this part out. We're not going to be able to get this type, So then you start. So, but now I'm just straight producer. Then when
Yeah,
I start shooting, I prefer to have a producer that can handle, the production side of it. Now I can focus on directing, and I just have on a director's hat. And that director's hat now, with me taking the acting class, I think would help. Which I always try to collaborate with my actors anyway. But I think now to be able to speak the language that I think would help them in their performances. And one of the main things I learned, man, about acting, the main thing is to listen. I heard one of the directors said that one thing an actor may not want to hear, but the best thing you can tell them, it's not about you, it's about the other actor. So as long as you're responding properly to the other actor, then your performance will be on point. Don't be in your own head as an actor, just respond. And I didn't as long as the actors are doing it and they're listening, not just with the ear, but you're listening to how the other actor is talking, how they're moving and different things like that. Then your response won't be a performance, but it'll be a real response to what the other actor is giving you. So yeah, man, that's been like a wealth of knowledge. And I really want to take more classes too. But again, not to act, but just to keep learning, man, because it's deep, really. And I respect
Yes.
that craft a whole lot more than I did before. So all props and praise I give to y'all, man, because even I've had to do like like actually auditions. And so the acting teacher, man, he be ruthless. He like, yeah, bro.
Hey,
I'm
tell
not
me
really
about
trying
it,
man,
to do
man.
this. So you ain't gotta be that hard on me.
man.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
so man. When I tell you, man, and it's crazy because shameless plug. I'm an acting coach. Joseph knows
Mm,
it. People know it. I'm an acting coach. I've been coaching actors for some time now, and I'm formally trained, kind of in the same regard as Joseph, but it's different. The thing that I also do is there's been moments where I've been an acting coach
mm,
on sets, and the reason why is because um, directors seen me as an asset because there is a language and actors that I've worked with, and when I've directed, I'm starting to direct, and I've had actors that I've worked with saying you're an actor's director, and they say that because there is a abstract language to how you communicate with an actor. My old acting teacher would always tell me 1 + 1 = banana, and I'm like, why? And she's like, because there's this unspoken formula to how to communicate with actors. And you talk about listening. I always tell my students, it's not about getting it right, it's not about getting it wrong, it's about getting it honest. And once you tell people about getting honest, it just you just see people change. And so it's so cool that as a director, you're like, I need to take, because I more directors should do that. More
Right,
directors should be pushed, because now you're in the category of being an actor's director, because it's different. I work with directors that they aren't an actor's director. They're just a director. You know, it's
right,
like, but then to work with an actor's director, and you can fully communicate to us your vision in a way that aligns with our process and respects
right.
our process. And so now we can give you what you want. Yeah, man, that's dope. That's really cool. If you ever need somebody to do some scene work with you, let me know, man. Shameless
Oh
plug.
yeah,
Let
definitely,
me know,
definitely.
dude.
Because I'm gonna
Let me
keep doing
know.
it, man. I'm gonna
Hey,
keep. I want to keep doing it.
Appreciate it.
that elevates. Yeah, and so that's why, yeah, that's
What
yeah.
class did you take?
Yeah, what
I
class
don't
did you
know. It
take?
wasn't like the name of a class. What you know, when I was in, I went to New York, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm in a DGA, and so I was in this this mentorship program. So I was aligned with my mentor was Jeremy Padawasa. He's done like Games of Thrones and I mean all those type of shows, Boardwalk Empire and uh, Handmaid's Tale and all that. So in the process, we had this workshop that we had to do
Hmm.
with for TV, you know, and that was the whole process. So the directors that do a lot of TV stuff, they brought us up, and so we was able to work with actors. And one of the actors that we work with, he actually does acting classes. So after I finished that workshop, I kind of hooked up with him, and his name is Andrew Stewart, and he's been on a, you
Oh,
know, he's been on
Hmm.
a few shows and a few movies, but the main thing his class deals with is auditioning. So he always gives us like size and stuff, and then after we get the size, we have very short time to put it
to
on
take.
tape, and then we send it in. And so we jump on the call Monday, the actors, and he, you know, he's already critiqued them, and he'll play them in front of the whole class, and you'll be like, no. he started to he
Well,
started going in. But
hey,
what he did say, he said, and I don't know if he just said it because me, but my daughter, I don't know if you know my daughter, Aliyah Muhammad, you know,
I
she's
do.
an actress. So you know, I got into the class as well. And she got mad because he said, man, Arthur made the most progress out of everybody. And it's probably because I was the worst.
that
So
was the word.
I have more room, you know, but
That
I mean, I really enjoyed it, you know, and I think they have maybe more tension because they're really actors, and me, I don't. Even though I'm really trying, I don't think I have the same pressure that
yeah,
they have, you know, because
Hmm.
I'm not really trying to be an actor, but I'm trying to master the form of, you know, the audition. So I'm listening to him and the man, the instructions and directions that he give be so. You know, one thing it has helped me with is my next movie I do. When I do audition, oh man, I'm gonna know exactly what I'm looking for. You know, and he gave me some little clues to look for in auditions that really can help me. And one of the main things is what he teaches is always reminding me as a filmmaker. I tell a story through pictures. So whenever you casting someone, look at the different pictures that they're giving you, and if they even giving you different pictures. And he always give the example of like a little flip book. You know, if you got a flip book, if that picture is the same every time you turn that page, where's the story? There is no story. It's the same stick figure every time. But so you want actors that's able to give you honest pictures. And so, man, I started watching, and then he give us certain movies to watch, certain actors to watch.
Hmm.
And when I started
Hmm.
watching those actors, I'm like, you can tell when they're listening. That's the deep part about it now. So I'm looking at stuff different, man, and the different pictures that they given, and based on the response that they're receiving from an actor, you can tell when Al Pacino listens to that actor, or Robert De Niro actually listens. You can tell, you can feel it, you can see it. So I'm like, man, I I like it's like it's deep. It's deeper than it was. And man, I've been doing this for hell 20 years.
It's a lot deeper, man. To relate to that story, I almost quit college for that. Like for real. Like I was 3 weeks late starting in LA, so they were telling me, "Hey man, we in this part of the class." So I'm like, "All right, cool. We doing the auditions." He was like, "Here, learn this by 3 o'clock today." I was like, "It's 9." He was like, "You can do it." So, but about I think maybe 2 days later, I kept telling him I was like, "I think I'm gonna quit." He was like, "No, you." He was like, "No, you're not." I said, "I think I'm like." He's like, "Nah, you didn't come all the way to LA for that shit. You're not quitting." So it was crazy how I ended up staying because two of my teachers, one of them was the guy that used to be is the guy before Jake on State Farm,
Oh,
and the other one is Mirage Gearbik out of Mission Impossible, the Russian guy.
Wow.
So
okay.
yeah, he was on my ass, man. He would dude would not let me. He was like, "This is the guy. This is the guy. This is the guy." So doing the Sanford Meisner, Uda Hagen, Lee Strasberg, I'm just like, oh my god, who are these people, man? I'm about to go home because I went to college with a bunch of young cats, like 25 and below. So
Right,
yeah, they were there just because they were rich. They really didn't want to go to school.
right.
Yeah, they didn't. They wanted to go
Funny
to pool
dude.
parties. They didn't want to go to class. So so yeah, I relate to that.
That's all needed to make you a well-rounded, and I'm sure even from now, even your next project, it's going to be because man, you've already done. I mean, at least the next question, Carter High landed on Netflix, and even inspired Friday Night Lights. So, what was the journey behind bringing that true story to screen? What was that about?
Well, actually, Friday Night Lights came out first, right?
Okay.
But I always tell people if you didn't have Carter High, the event, you never would have a Friday Night Lights because Friday Night Lights whole event was behind Carter High. The whole Friday Night Lights movie led up to them playing Carter High, and they had to create us to be a villain, and that's what led to
Mm.
me doing Carter because we wasn't a villain. It's like the way they portrayed us because they had us go to the once the movie dropped before it dropped, they had a special screening for the Carter community. So we went to go see it, man. And the way they portrayed us, like thugs,
Oh yeah,
bandanas.
for
It just
real,
they
for real.
it just was way far from the truth. We were like middle class. We grew up in middle class neighborhoods. Two family for the most part, two parent households, and it just was some of the guys did the wrong thing and got caught up. That was it. They wasn't bad people. They just did something bad and got, caught up. And that's basically what it was. But after seeing the movie, I actually had wrote the script before that movie came out. But of course, I didn't have no money to get it done or anything like that. But after I saw the movie and I met Peter Berg and told him about I actually got a script Carter High, and he said this his words was quiet as a kept. That's the story that needs to be told. That's what he said. So it was always a story I wanted to tell, and especially after seeing Friday Night Lights, and that's one of the things, man, that the reason why I do commend the filmmakers because we can't wait for them to tell our stories. We just need to learn how to tell our stories better. And that's where it comes from studying the craft and that type of thing. And that's what I wanted to do with Carter is tell our version of the story. And it's the funny thing about that, man, ESPN, before we actually did the movie, reached out to ESPN to do a 30 for 30 on Carter. And they said they didn't do 30 for 30s on high schools. This was, way back then.
Hmm.
So ended up doing a movie. And after I did the movie, ESPN got wind of it, and the director of that did the 30 for 30 came down, watched the screening of Carter High, and next thing you know, we have an annual Carter High picnic that we do annually, and he came out, interviewed some of the players, and they ended up doing a 30 for 30 on Carter High.
Wow.
Wow.
In fact, so but
Wow.
so really that helped me, even though I wasn't. I kind of like let help them to get into to do the 30 for 30. I really wasn't part of it, which was messed up. But it did allow the brothers who I went to school with, play football with, to tell their stories on a much bigger level. So it was able to get their side of the story out, which was my whole goal from the movie in the first place. So that, hindsight 2020, it all worked out. And still working out because Carter's still going strong to this day.
And it is.
Man, that is longevity. That's how you know you've made a timeless project when it standeth the test of time. You don't have not every project is like that. Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah, that's dope. That is dope.
Your rom-com Bid for Love premiered on BET Plus. How did you bring authenticity and heart to that story?
Bit for Love, Lawana, and this is another crazy story, man. Lawana Patterson, who actually, but that's her story. And me and Lawana grew up in the same neighborhood.
Mm,
Lawana, like literally, she stayed literally. I stayed in the cul-de-sac, and once you get out if you walk straight from my house, just straight ahead, you hit her house. And so I kind of grew up with Lawana in the neighborhood, and that was her story. And she had been doing plays and everything, but growing up in Oak Cliff and then hearing Lawana's story, I could definitely relate to exactly what she went through. So that was easy to tell that story and give heart to it, especially with
Right.
me knowing Lawana too.
I got you. That
Yeah,
yeah.
makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
yeah,
No, that's yeah, man. It's connecting with people or knowing people. It's being first of all being put in position to like know great writers and like to know great artists, and then them trusting you with this vision. It's like an honor to always be,
right.
and it's like you said, it's knowing your strength. It's being put in position to be like, oh, you have this great script. Let's really do this. You talked earlier about your switch to horror comedy, right? So then you switch to horror comedy with 12, a metaphor-rich thriller about family secrets. How do you shift between genres so seamlessly? How did you even have the courage to be like, you know what, I want to step outside the box? Because like you said, sometimes people stick with that mayo sandwich combo and they're like, I mean mayo sandwiches for the rest of my career. And my taste buds are just mayo and that's all I want. And some people like, you know what? I think I want to take a side to the filet mignon. I want to go over here and switch it up and do something different. And it takes courage to do that. So what made you switch between a different genre, and it seems like one that I wouldn't say wasn't so foreign to you, but one that probably took some stretching?
I think ultimately to continue to push myself as an artist
Yeah,
and to continue to learn, storytelling.
yeah.
And the story was, me and my dad and uncle, but we played dominoes a lot, right? So that was like something that we did pastime. And I wanted to tell a story that kind of centered around family and skeletons. And so basically, when you look at 12, and I don't know, maybe I went too metaphorically in it because 12, when if I sat down with an audience, which a director can't do, I could explain a whole lot more than what the movie probably, you know, explains on its own. But
Mhm.
I'm thinking it's a film that you may need to watch more than once, twice. But when you do, I think it's a deep film. And so what I did with 12, anybody that played dominoes, the game that begins the domino game, the bone, because we call dominoes bones, which actually came from back in the day. The dominoes was made from elephant tusks, and so that's why
Mhm.
they call them bones. And in Haiti, they used to play them all the time as And because with them being so poor, that was like something that they did, that they literally said they did to not think about how poor they was. They played just dominoes all day, all the time. But so now you have Bones, you have the number 12, Big Six, that starts the game. And so now I took that, even if you look at the name of the characters in 12, the main character name is Ezekiel. And if you look in the Bible, Ezekiel and the bones rattling and shaking and all that type of stuff, we always say like families have skeletons in the closet.
Closet.
So all of that stuff is tied in the movie 12. So when you see it, you'll be like, okay, and maybe I should have did a narration and people probably would have got it more. But that it was like, again, I was pushing myself, I think, as as an artist, to tell a different story. And it's crazy because when I seen Sinners, how the movie start and how 12 start is very, 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 very similar with the graphics and everything that starts 12 and that starts Sinners. So I said, maybe I was on to something. I didn't have Ryan Coogler's money or team, but if I did, it would have been a different movie.
Man, no, that's good. Hey, that's good.
But,
I'm
but
gonna watch it.
you said something, Ransom, that I Ransom, right?
Ronson.
Ransom.
Hmm.
That I think goes back to the key, and it's one word, and you said trust.
Yeah.
As an artist, I think as a director, the main thing I want to do with an actor, it has the actor to trust me and let the actor know that I trust them.
Yeah.
So then going back to writing the story, I need to trust that work as well. So that work alone, I think, moves this whole business and everything forward. You have to have trust in yourself and in each other.
In the process, I mean, trust is the number
Right.
one thing I say is, like I said, I learned in acting class when I first started that you're only as good as your scene partner. You're only
Mm,
as good as your scene partner. It's trust. It's you're listening to me, I'm listening to you, and we're able to trust each other. Especially with tough scenes, I have to be able to trust you,
right.
because we have to go to a dark place that sometimes we need to be able to trust each other. That's why, I mean, it's built on chemistry reads. We have chemistry reads because we want to see the on-screen trust between you and this. As a director, you're looking for the on-camera trust between you and between these two actors. And if they can really, show and depict the dynamic of the relationship between the actors that you need. So yeah, man, trust is the cornerstone of it's trusting the script. It's me as an actor trusting my training. It's me as the actor trusting the director. I don't forget, I had a director. I worked with him. I could work with any director. Crazy Jamaican guy. Met him. He was one of my first college directors. And I never forget, he would always, his name is Errol Anthony Wilkes. He's dope. And he would say, just trust me, kid. He would say, trust me. Because he would say, from this perspective, what I'm telling you to do may look a certain way, but from out there, it looks how I need it to look. And it always looked perfect. So it's like, you have to be able to get out of your own way and trust it. You have to be able to trust your writing and trust your vision and trust the execution and trust the gaffer, trust the grip, trust all these people. Because there's a lot of
Right.
films where somebody's trust is out of whack, and it's like, well,
It's a lot of people on set to trust, man.
and there's a
Right.
lot of people on set to
It
trust,
is, man.
and
It
there's a lot of
is.
sets where people can't trust the people on set. So it's like it's a
You
whole
know.
big thing.
And it's a lot to trust, but I think as long as the director, who's the leader, it, it all begins with them. Because
Yeah,
I think once you, as an actor, once they see that
yeah,
he just needs to be the one trusting everyone and
yeah.
putting out the right energy. And so
Right.
I don't have to worry about, as long as I know that I'm doing the right thing, I'm trusting the process. And that's sufficient. You know what I'm
Trust.
saying? That's it.
It's knowing everything. I mean, coming from theater, which is something else I implore you to do. You dove into the acting class, into acting classes. But even a cinematic director, even being able to experience the rush of the theater from pre-production, because that's where I come from, musical theater, from pre-production all the way. And the pre-production from theater is sort of similar to pre-production with film, but that the main difference is you have this living, breathing thing that has to be put on multiple times, 5 shows a week. But the main thing is it's trust, but it's also that everybody plays their role. Like
Right.
the master prop person, there have been theaters that I've worked with where you get fined if you touch a prop that's not your prop. And they say, hey, this is Ronson's prop. If this is his cigarette, nobody touches his cigarette, because if you do, you get fined. So it's like you learn to trust that everybody knows what they need to do. And I think that segues into our next question. I think it's cool to move to the part that I think is important as an artist of your caliber, and it's craft, mentorship, and impact. And now I feel like, you know, it gets a certain part of artistry where, you know, Denzel said it. He was like, one part of it you learn, another part you earn, and another part you return. You know, so you've taught workshops with aspiring filmmakers. What's the number one lesson you want every student to understand? If you could boil it down to a number one lesson.
Number one lesson, I would say preparation.
Yeah.
And I always give the 7 P's of production. Even when I teach classes, I tell my class this, I tell at the workshop this, and it's proper planning prevents piss poor production. And I tell them that, and that actually coincide with trust, because as a director, I know if I've proper plan, I can trust the process now. It's hard, and I relate it even to sports. And I play receiver, right? You practice routes. I mean, you practice audibles. Yep. And so everybody got to be on the same page. So it's proper planning, same thing. And so as long as I know I'm running the right route and I'm cutting when I'm supposed to cut and everything, the quarterback has to trust me.
Yeah,
I have to trust him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get him to the lead. If it's a zone, I need to sit down. If I keep going across, I can get my head knocked off. So you know what I'm saying? I don't need him leading me in a direction I don't need to be going. So it's still part of, we're a team. Same thing inside the on the production.
Yep.
The team.
Yes, sir.
So it's proper planning prevents piss poor production. And as long as you know that you've proper plan, everybody can trust. You're not going to go, even though you may veer from the plan. It's better to have a plan that you audible from than go in and not have a plan at all, because people lose trust. Like we get to the set and I don't know where I want the camera at, and y'all looking at me like, well, the trust now is already going. Even though you may not say it in your head, you thinking, man, this nigga don't know what he's doing. I know.
Yeah, you ain't got no damn shot list. Your ass ain't got nothing.
Okay, it's gonna be one of those.
Being an actor, being on sets, and it's like, oh, you just now created the shot list on the spot. You had a shot list before. What are you doing?
And then you doing this number. Okay. All right.
Look at your watch like, oh, have I hit the 8-hour mark yet? Like, we're crafty. I just go sit down.
Dude, that is too vivid.
And it's so for the people watching, it's like one of those things where you have to get it. If you know, you know. It's like that's why it's so funny, because we've experienced, me and Joseph have literally experienced. Oh, man. We've been in the thick of it to experience it as an actor.
I had a flashback with him.
Me too. Me too. Me walking on set, and there's no shot list, no nothing. And so I'm like, what? Like, yeah, crazy. But yeah, no, you hit the nail right on the head. Like, for real.
I mean, a lot of people don't know, man, in this business is where that term was coined, that phrase, time is money. I mean, because when they would shoot on film and you would hear it, because you can hear the film going through the camera.
Yeah.
Every time you hear that, that's money going through. And so you
Yep.
have to know what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it. And one thing, man, I try my best to respect people time, and especially my talent. When I know I'm not paying you what you probably should be getting paid, I'm not gonna have you see. We're gonna shoot something, So I don't. I
Yep.
try to make sure me and my DP is on the same page. I don't need you trying to light something to the point where it's going to take us 2 hours to light it, because this little two
No.
hours, if I'm not going to be able to see this in this look, it's just this frame. This is it. So you need to make sure that we lighten this sufficiently, efficiently, to the point where we can shoot. Because I'm not trying to waste. I think the actors come to set ready to work. They don't come to set to go to makeup and then sit and watch us play with lights. No,
Right.
we got to work. So I try to make sure I get my actors in. We block the scene. They know exactly what they're gonna do. Let them go get their hair, makeup, wardrobe. We set it up. They come back to set. We shoot.
You're in and you're out. That's the
Mhm.
joys. It's like a sniper. I tell my students, you're a sniper. You're in, do your job, and you get out.
Right.
It's that simple. Get in, get out. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I think you have the next one, Joseph.
Yeah, you answered some of the next one
Oh yeah,
actually, but
you did.
I do want to go through all these because this is an interesting interview, and I'm definitely gonna go back and watch it.
Me
So,
too.
what changes do you hope to see in Black storytelling, and how are you working towards the shift of that narrative?
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I think tell more diverse stories, even though they're all considered black, quote unquote black. I think we have a whole lot of stories, man, that haven't been told because we keep telling the same story.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm doing is definitely telling, like 12. 12 is a different story. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Biff Love, of course, same type story, but in other films, the same type. But 12, I've written 3 scripts that I have now, and what I've done, like this past couple of years, I haven't shot anything because I was just focusing on learning more and
Which I
writing
know.
more. So that's what I'm doing, to write more diverse things, and you know have my voice come out more in the work that I'm doing. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we as black filmmakers, especially independent wise, we don't realize the power of our voice.
Yeah.
But we I think we can tell definitely better stories, more diverse stories, and not the same stories. And it's not hard. It may take a little effort, but it's definitely not hard. You just take one uh, moment out of your life that's not the same thing that has been filmed over and over and over again, and you can literally write a story about that.
True.
Yeah.
And but I don't think we don't think like that. And I think what we fail to realize is, if you have a certain thought or a certain voice or a certain story you want to tell, it will resonate. But you
Yeah.
got to trust the process and trust that there's millions of people that feel like you feel. But if you never tell those stories, you're
We'll
gonna
never
you
know.
gonna
You
never
never
know.
know. Never
Wow.
know.
That's so good. That's for all those aspiring filmmakers out there who feel like there is this thing of people just reinventing it, you know, or not, well, lack of reinventing the wheel. Granted, not all the times you have to reinvent the wheel. It's real life. It's common stories, common motifs, common threads, but there's always a different facet to express it. I feel like it's being
And
expressed.
that's the key, bro. That you know
Yeah.
what I when I went to when I was in getting my master's, right?
Mhm.
There was a brother Blitz. I don't know if you probably the brother who did Color Purple,
Mm-hmm.
the new
Mhm.
Color Purple. He
Mm.
yes, he was one of our instructors there, right? And so matter of fact, hold on one second. I'm still here, but I got these books right here because I want y'all to
Yeah.
see.
So
It's he said the book right here changed his life as a filmmaker, and it has started changing mine. and it may be backwards, but the name of this book
Crazy.
is
I was just literally finna say my acting teacher would always tell me, she would say, I'll never forget it. She would steal. She said this is the only art in which thievery is okay. Steal from other actors. You can steal their mannerisms. You can steal. But because it's your vessel, it's always going to be different. It's going to
it's
be
going to be
expressed
different.
differently, man.
It's going to
That's
be different,
crazy. Still like
and
an art.
it's still
That's
like an
so
artist, man. And I think this, me not knowing this, is really hampered my development as an artist.
yeah.
Because when I first started, even though I was watching Spike, my mindset, I wanted to be so original. I didn't want to do nothing like nobody. I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna create my own shots. I'm gonna do this. And I think that hampered me. If I would have been stealing like an artist from the beginning, man, I wouldn't even probably be talking to y'all right now.
That boy be like, hey, for real.
Man, for real, bro.
That dial tone
I
won't even be
mean,
reachable.
man.
Right.
But now when I watch artists, right, like these, like the Steven Spielberg, I then you look at John Ford, and then you look at Alfred Hitchcock, and I'd be like, ain't this they just stealing from each
Even
other.
Quentin was somebody
Quentin,
who didn't even. Quentin was one of the main quintessential directors that you're like, this dude don't steal from people. You know how Quentin is, and even him. I
he's
think
stealing.
what I think the thing about the art is because there are foundational building blocks to the approach. And one thing I learned with acting is my teacher would always tell me, you learn it all to throw it all away. But before you can break the rules, you have to learn them. And so
Right,
that's where you steal all these things, this foundational things that make it happen. You can do your own thing, but there's certain foundational things to where it's like, this is the standard. This is what makes this stuff good. And you steal from the
right,
people who make it do what they do, what the good people do, what the Romans do, how they used to say.
right.
That's do what they do. So
And
yeah,
but what you said makes so much. What I think what we fail to realize is that it's your voice, it's your vessel that's coming
your
through.
vessel. Yep.
So you can and he does it, and he may not always do it on the most cinematic side,
Yeah.
but even Tyler Perry steals. And it may not come out cinematically, but I'm watching, and sometimes he just stealing from himself, something that worked before in a play. He'll steal it and do the same thing over to tell the same story over and
Literally.
over and over, literally
Literally.
again.
Literally.
I mean, it was
Literally.
one thing he did, and this officer and a gentleman scene at the end. Tyler Perry did it in one of his movies. It's the same exact scene, literally.
You
He
said
just
officer and a gentleman.
yes, at the
With
end
Lou
when he
Gossett
goes,
Jr.?
when the officer go at the end and get the girl and take up, and I think she's working inside a factory, and he,
Damn.
he did the same exact scene. Even Ryan Coogler with Sinners, that's really From Dusk to Dawn. It's the same movie.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's the same
Definitely.
movie.
It's a lot
It's
of
Definitely.
movies that are
different.
like that.
Like
They like
woman in the yard is Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, it's like so that's I mean, but hey, they still like an artist.
they still
But
like
that
And that,
makes sense.
are-
Because
that's
right,
actors do it too, you know what I'm saying? If you look back at Clint Eastwood, you had John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. Clint had to really separate himself from him in order to stand out. So he put the little switching the cigar from side to side, you know what I'm saying? The
right,
hat sideways. He changed
right,
his swag up a little bit. He had to be noticed.
had to
right.
had
I mean, and in this book, man, it talks about even a lot of things, but a good example is Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant would say he stole from different players, and
Yeah.
but you don't call Kobe Michael, you call him Kobe, right? But
the
some of the stuff
vessel
he
that is
do,
Kobe.
he
Yeah.
looked just like Michael. I mean, but that's Kobe Bryant. He put his own little twist on it. I mean, so that's we.
Right.
I mean, you gotta learn, but the only way you can do it, you have to learn the craft. You can't steal if you
What you
don't
don't.
learn the craft. That's the thing. you gotta learn the craft because if you don't learn the craft,
Stealing
you
ain't
gonna be
You're
pointless.
you can't steal what you don't know. I think a lot of
Yeah, you
people,
can't
a
steal what
lot
you
of
don't know how to use.
yeah, you can't
right,
steal what you don't know how to use, and you can't steal what you don't know the value of. And I think
right.
that's another thing. Like people don't know the value of it, so they're not gonna try to learn it, and so it's like you can't steal it.
It's
You know what
like
I'm saying?
stealing.
It's
It's like
like
stealing the stick shift.
the gold chain is here, and you go over taking the box and run and think you got something. Well, no, you
No.
left the valuables, which
Yeah.
you running around with.
You left the part that was
You
valuable.
left the part that was valuable for the part that you didn't know. Yeah, man. That's so man. Hey, that's so
That's
good, man.
crazy.
Like, dude, like, geez, that's a good one. That's all. I need to get that book. If people watching, get that book. I need to get it still. Like, that's acting teacher tell me that all of the time, man. That's great. That's a good one. So what's the next one? Vision and Legacy next, Joseph, or
Yeah. Yep.
Vision,
Yep.
Legacy, and what's next? So, what projects are on deck? Um, yeah. Also, well, first, okay, I'll say that's the first question. What projects are on deck for you, if you have any on deck?
I have one called Shift Happens that I'm gonna try to shoot probably next, which is about a driving school. It's a comedy, and so that's the next one.
That is so man. That's gonna be funny.
The
It's about a
Yeah,
title.
driving
The title
school.
got me.
yeah.
Shift
Trust me,
happens.
me and my wife, we actually own a driving school in Arlington, so that's where the idea come from. And trust
Oh
me,
shit.
bro, it is hilarious. Like the stuff that you wouldn't believe. It's stuff in the movie that you would not believe happened. So people gonna say that can't happen. Yeah, it did. So that
Crazy thing. That's in y'all have a driving school in Arlington. Hey, I might have to come there. Funny thing is, I don't actually don't know how to drive. Me and Joseph talk about it, joke about it all the time. He joke about it all the time. I actually don't know how to drive. So that's hilarious. Wow.
yeah,
Shift happens. It's a
right.
comedy. That's a genre that isn't often I feel like even as black filmmakers, it isn't often. You have your certain ones, of course, but that's we want to see that more. Like so
That's a
Right.
catchy title too.
that's the shift happens is brilliant. That's really that's really brilliant. Like yeah, that's really brilliant. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
dope.
I
Excited.
watched it. I watched it just because of the title.
Yeah, for sure. Oh really? No, seriously. That's a brilliant title. Shift happens. What's the next one that we have?
All right. Where do you want to take your Sweet Chariot productions in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think, man, just even with this film, I'm financing it myself. So
My
one
man.
thing I would not be doing is asking anybody for money. That's where we gonna take it. We gonna take it
Ownership.
where
I
Woohoo!
yeah,
double salute you.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna be doing that. And that's one of the things that I'm really, man, trying to get the production to the point where if we have an idea, we're gonna shoot it.
Yeah,
You know,
that's so good.
and if we can't shoot the one, like I have, like I said, several scripts, but Shift Happens is going to be the first one. The other ones may be a little bit bigger budget films, but that's the goal is to tell authentic stories and not have the stress of looking for financing and that I think a lot of times that affects the filmmaker.
Yeah, it
And
does.
there was a minister, Minister Ava Muhammad, and she said, you know, artists have a hard time surviving and doing art because they're suffocating. And she gave the analogy that let's say you're the greatest artist in the world, but if somebody is standing over you with a pillow over your face, what are you thinking about creating at that moment?
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. You're just trying to survive. And there's too many artists trying to survive because they can't do the art that they want to do. So all
Wow.
we do is trying to survive because we're suffocating. So I don't want to be suffocating. That's what we're not going to do.
Yeah, no.
gonna create. And I think I tell a lot of people, don't be so creative that you don't create nothing. Don't be that creative where you sit and thinking, man, I gotta do something so creative. And you don't
Don't
create nothing.
create. People, I tell people that all the time. Like, I produced my
Damn.
first short last year, and it was like 3 minutes. It's like a silent film, but I produced it and everything. Got together with some friends, and it got picked for a showcase, a short film showcase here. It got selected here in Houston, and so I'm like, but the basis of that was just to create, and I think it's creating through the because I call this point for a lot of artists go through like something I call the land of the hyenas, where it's like your dreams go to die, like you're dealing with life. You're a starving artist, maybe you're dealing with money, but you're also trying to be an artist. You're trying to get to auditions and do this and do that, and it's like even through that, people don't lean on the main thing that got you to this point, which is create. That's the best situation to create from. Create through the create through you being stagnant. Create through the hard times, because that's oftentimes where the best art comes from. It's
Right,
like you don't want to be that suffocating artist. A lot of people don't know how to work through the suffocation process.
right,
They don't make it. And it's like, so I love that you said that, man. That's a word, because a lot of people need to hear that. A lot of people are going through that suffocation period right now where
right.
it's sucking the creativity out of them, and they
Hmm.
just want to like quit. Like
Right. I
they
got
just want to stop.
a couple of friends, and if they ever watch this, I'm not gonna say y'all names, but y'all both know who you are.
Mhm.
And and I've done a film, and every time I do a film, they'll reach out and say, man, you did another one. And what they don't realize is that we've probably been having the same conversation from their end 11, 12 years. And I let them know, bro, you've been saying the same thing for like 11 years. And they still saying, man, I got this idea. I got this idea. And you going to that's exactly what you had 11 years ago was
Oh
an
Yeah,
man.
idea. When you
the
going to
idea.
implement the idea? Because it's almost like you're asking for help. But I'm like, I have no problem helping you, but I only can help you if you help yourself. And if you don't care enough about your ideal to start moving it forward, don't think. I mean, because I got my own ideas that I want to do. So if you got to catch me when I'm not doing my ideals, because your ideals you've been having for 11 years, you think I'm gonna be waiting with you?
I
Crazy.
bet you've
No.
been acting on yours.
Right, right, right,
You
right.
got
So
about 11 or 12 out right now.
Yeah, like you've been putting in the work. People like it's just an idea is just an idea until you create it. It's like you
right,
just create it. Some people are like, no, I don't want to just mass produce stuff. I feel like it's not the film industry is not, to a certain extent, it's not like a mass production of a toy or something where you just mass produce, but it is like sometimes you just have to get it out. You just have to start and execute. I tell people all the time, jump off the plane and build your parachute on the way down.
right,
So you got to do that,
right,
because then you got the guy up there that's like checking the strap 1,500 times, and by that point, the trip's over. Y'all on the ground again, but you
right.
never jumped,
Right,
right?
right,
So,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
man,
you
that's
wait for perfect moments, man. And then as an artist, you
It
can't
ain't one.
you can't do that. It's
there's
not
no
gonna be that perfect moment.
You'll
there
never
are
have it.
no perfect moments. So you are a multi hyphenate. We've talked about this. You're a multi hyphenate. What role gives you the most fulfillment? Like, I know it's kind of tough to be like, if I had to take all the way, which one could you do for the rest, for just forever? And it's just that one role. Like, we took them all the way.
I would say writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe that
because
too.
writing, I have to be in a certain mindset and spirit to
Yeah.
write. You know what I'm saying? And then once you complete that script, it took the longest and it's the most fulfilling for me. But then when you have actors bring it to life, it's like, man, I wrote that, and it's crazy because you go through a process where you write that first draft, and then I'll go back and read it, and be like, who wrote this crap? You know what I'm saying? And then you got to go back in the lab and go again and again and again, and just to see the transformation from that first draft to that final draft. It's like, I think that's definitely the most fulfilling part is the writing.
I love it. Yeah, that's
And,
Mhm.
man.
it takes the most discipline. You know what I'm
Writing.
saying?
Oh man,
To
writing. Yeah, more power to you. You talk about power to us as actors. No, more power to you as a writer, because it's. I'm at the point in my artistry where an actor is so used to doing. Sometimes an actor is so used to doing someone else's work that it's like when you want to do your own stuff, you want to just trust the writer. But it's like me trying to transfer this idea to you that I know so well is going to water it down. So I have to learn how to write because I
right,
want to be able to keep the artistic integrity and the artistic structure of what it is that I'm doing. And so writing is, it's, yeah, man, more power to you with writing because that makes all of this work. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no, I'm glad I asked that question. I always like to ask people that. Sometimes people have a hard time, but multi hyphenates, they often have the hardest time because it's so many. They want to do everything. So, yeah, that's dope.
You spoke earlier about us not being here. We're all gonna pass on. We're not gonna be here long. In 20 years from now, when film festivals reflect on your legacy, what do you hope they highlight first?
hmm. uh, evolve. It kept constantly evolving. That at least that my work continued to evolve.
Yeah, yeah. Evolution, artistic evolution.
I
Hmm.
like that.
Well, I mean, I feel like that now we're. Wait, go ahead, Joseph. You had something
I was
else?
just finna say the same thing you was finna say.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire
Fire.
moment. All
You
right,
want
there's
to
a
work,
series of
Joseph?
questions. These are a series of questions you can answer. No explanation needed. Just however you want to answer.
Okay.
Favorite camera or lens?
Uh, I've shot with a few cameras, but I'm not a DP. So I would say Alexa, and lens. I'll have to pick just basically because I've been studying lenses as well. I would go with a long lens. I love the way the long lens look. So I would say maybe like 100 or 85 millimeter.
Nice one. One film you rewatch for inspiration.
I have two:
Give them to me.
The Graduate and 12 Angry Men.
I'm gonna watch both of those.
Me too.
Hey, you ain't seen those films?
I
I
ain't.
don't think I've seen The Graduate or 12 Angry Men.
I feel like I seen The Graduate, but I don't. I can't remember it. Maybe I haven't.
The
He
Graduate. He
done
had to
turned his
turn his
back.
chair. Like Don Corleone. He's
He
like,
turned his back.
you come into my store and you haven't watched these films.
He turned his back.
Like Don
Yeah, that's
Corleone.
y'all assignment, bro. Both of y'all are
I got you,
actors too.
man. And I'm gonna
Man,
tell you. I'm gonna text you when I watch it.
man.
I
Nah,
promise.
for real. Oh my God. This is like, I see Dustin Hoffman as like the lead,
I did see
lead.
the. I did see
Oh,
that. I
I
seen
need
that. I
to. And you
seen the
said
Graduate.
12 Angry Men was the
I
other
haven't
one?
Yes,
seen that
the
though. I ain't
original one.
watched that
The
one. I
original one.
haven't watched that one. I'll
12
check it
Angry
out. I'll
Men. I'm
check it out.
Man,
talking
you gotta watch those, bro.
12 Angry Men. Sidney or Lumet.
Yes.
Yeah, bet I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Next rapid fire question. Best advice you've received on set? With the laugh. It's gotta be good. What was the best advice you got on set?
I'm not gonna say the name, but if she heard it, she gonna know.
I give you now. You gotta give it to us now. You have to.
Stop.
Stop is crazy. Stop is crazy. Stop.
She said, I mean, it was literally, um, stop. You don't need to tell me all that. Which I learned. I learned because even me going back, like I said, to taking these acting classes, it was a scene and it was a deep scene. And after I said my one or two words, I should have stopped. But I kept trying to give, backstory and this and that, and it was like literally, I'm looking at this how she was like, stop. And I said, oh, okay.
Okay. Hey, I tell
But
people.
I learned, and even though it at the time it felt a little harsh, you know what I'm saying? I learned because I, especially after that, is when I had the director's workshop, and in it, once as a director, when you're talking to what I learned when you're talking to an actor, and if you speak in their language, that shouldn't be a long, drawn out
No,
conversation.
Mm-mm,
It's
it's
just
not.
right, and that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
So that was the best advice. Basically, shut up. That was
it's
the
a
advice.
series of directing actors. It's a series of questions. I always ask my actors questions that make them think, and oftentimes I just ask them a couple questions, and they're like, "Got it."
Right,
Or, and that's the thing about with actors too is I tell my students all the time, a director wants you to get to this certain place, but when you're working with actors that are dialed in and they have a process, and you say, all right, I want you crying in this scene, or I want you emoting this in the scene, or in this scene this is what it is, you don't have to say much. It's like, okay, I've
mm-mm.
worked with some actors where it's like I tell them what this is, and I'm like, all right, go off, go do what you need to do. They'll go off and go what they need to do. Everybody has different preparation, but they're going to get to where you need them to get to. They're just going to do it their way. And sometimes a director, and I notice it working on sets with certain directors when I was the action coach on set, sometimes directors can block that and get in the way of that process and muddle it up for the actor. And it's
right,
like, man, I got my process. I respect your vision. I'm going to give you what you want. It's just my way to get there.
right.
So, as harsh as that did sound, that is some really good advice. Like, sometimes you
Yep.
just got to,
Yeah.
man,
I
you got to
definitely admit I was
chill out.
muddling it. I was muddling it up. I was getting all up in the way. Definitely. I was taking all the way
Yeah.
back to like when you was two, and and your dad left and this and that, bro.
Oh no!
Hey,
And she was like, "Oh
man,
God!" She was like, "I
that
don't need
stop.
all that."
That stop was something personal, wasn't it?
No,
That's
stop.
Right,
Tell me,
right,
stop.
right. But I learned. So, hey, I'll never do that
Yeah,
again.
oh yeah,
yeah,
you gonna
no.
you gonna learn. You gonna
Oh
learn
yeah,
today.
especially with actions on set. Oh yeah. Last one, dream actor to work with.
uh Nicole
Coach
Bahari.
Mason.
Nicole. Ooh, that's such a good one.
Ooh,
That's
dang!
such a good one.
I've never heard nobody
She's
say that.
so. I'm glad you said that. She's so underrated and she's
So
so under. She's
that's what
now getting there, but she's been doing great work for years, and I'm like,
that's, that's
did
what
she
we
come from
that's,
Juilliard? She came from Juilliard, or she
so
came from?
Arthur. Arthur. That's what we going with the budget next.
That boy
I,
got the
would- I,
Nicole
hey,
Bari money.
if I can get it for a few days, I'll put on a credit card for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, bite the bullet and shoot Nicole Bari for a couple days. Fly you in, fly you out.
Oh, you
I just
stop
need you to give me
doing it. Hey,
about
look,
three
look.
seeds, about four,
You
five
are
seeds.
paid. You paid a little separate from
Right.
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I need you about. I need you for about
Hey,
60.
look, I give you half now, and
Right.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
give you,
yeah.
But it's
I'm glad
good
you bought
though.
the bullet
It's
for
but
Nicole
I'm
good.
Bari.
good for it.
Shoot, I'm doing the same thing for Nicole Bari. What?
Matter of fact,
Something.
I need you to show up 6 hours, and I put you right back on the plane.
Yeah, a couple seeds, about 4, 5 seeds a
You
day,
know,
and then I send you
yeah,
back.
yeah,
Like,
you.
Boy, I shoot
for real, dude.
all stuff like
Yeah, we don't even want nobody else on set. We just doing her today. That's
Yeah, that's it.
it.
that's it.
Oh man, Mr. Arthur Muhammad. Final words. Art should blank, or my message to filmmakers is blank. How would you fill in the blanks?
Uh, all right. I would say my message to filmmakers is keep pushing.
Yeah, that's good.
And when I say that, I believe we all, as artists, have something inside of us that we're trying to give birth to.
Yeah,
And as a woman, when she's pregnant with with a child, it's like an artist being pregnant with that ideal.
yeah,
And one thing, two things that the doctor or whoever's with you tell you to do is breathe and push. So
yeah.
keep pushing.
Hmm.
I love it. Wow.
Damn.
Man, go ahead and close us out, Joseph. This was man. I'm watching this playback. I'm watching this
Yeah, me
playback
too.
tonight. Man,
Uh, Last up, man, share where we can watch your work, Netflix, BET, Fandango, etc. List your, what is your social, where people can check you out, anything that you want to tell the folks.
I don't have anything. I did. Let me see. First Impression actually had went to Netflix. Also, Carter went to Netflix. Neither one on Netflix now. So, Bid for Love is on BET. Carter is on Tubi and other platforms. I mean, you could just, and I don't mean this like I'm just saying it just to be saying it, but the easiest thing is probably just Google my name, and then you really will find all the work. I mean, that's the easiest way.
No, you.
yep.
I say it too. We say it too. We
Yeah,
say
We
it
tell
too.
people
Yeah,
just Google
just
our
type in
names,
my name and put the
type
movies. It'll
in,
pop
and
up.
it'll happen.
It'll
yeah,
send you right
So
to it.
we literally relate and understand exactly what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. That's
Man,
and so yeah, you
this
can
was a
follow
dope.
me.
This was dope.
Yeah.
Always,
You
man.
said what?
Always, man.
Oh,
It's
I say you can
always.
follow me on Instagram, a Muhammad Film, just literally a
Okay.
Muhammad Film. And that's the same thing on Twitter, and they forced me to get on TikTok, so it's the same on there too.
He said they forced me.
Bro,
That's funny.
I don't even check it really.
Hey, man, look, all publicity is good publicity, I
Right,
guess, you
right,
know.
right.
For real. But man, Mr. Arthur Muhammad, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining at
Yeah,
the
man.
JR
I
Network,
appreciate
man.
the knowledge, man. And I got closer to you, man. I ain't know all this stuff about you.
Man,
Yes, sir.
it's an honor, man. When Joseph told me, I was like, wow. I was geeking out over here. I'm like, man,
Yeah,
it's
man.
a
That's what we
blessing
do.
for us to be able to pick your brain and ask, artists of your caliber these questions that people are wanting to know. So, thank you. It was truly an honor and a privilege to be able to do this.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Always,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Always.
Well, yeah,
All
man.
right. We
Okay.
are taking it out. We
All
will
right.
catch
Appreciate
you
it.
on the next one, Chief.
Peace out.
Peace.
All right.